Someone asked me the other day, they said, Ty, what's the one piece of advice you wish someone had told you when you were 15 years old? Boy, I know the answer right away. I wish someone had told me when I was 15, don't be such a slow learner, Ty. I mean, people think I'm a fast learner, but when I look back at my life, I'm a slow learner. I was reading Steve Jobs' book today for my book of the day. It's called I, Steve. It's a collection of his quotes and sayings. And, you know, he was terminally ill. He was going to die, and he was speaking at Stanford. And he said to these students, you know, kind of on his deathbed, he said, your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. And all I could think about as I read that was, your time is limited. Don't waste it. And I realized the best principle is what I call 6 months down to 6 days. I want you to learn things that take average people 6 months, learn them in 6 days. Because remember, life is short. Life is like a game of chess. You know, when you play chess, there's two kinds of chess games you can play. One where you have a timer and one where you don't. The one you don't have a timer is great. You could sit there for 2 or 3 days to make a move. You know, God help the person who's playing against you and has to sit there while you're waiting 3 days. But that's not what life's like. Life's like a timer where you chess. You got 5 seconds, 10 seconds to make your move. That's what life is. So the average person reads, I think, or buys 17 books a year. I think they only read 2 or 3 of them. That means the average person in 6 months is reading one book. What if you could read one book in 6 days? The average person to quit smoking might struggle with it for years. What if you could learn to quit smoking in 6 days? The average person struggles with their weight their whole life. What if you could learn in 6 days how to revolutionize your habit? Now you might go, that's impossible, Ty. Nobody can learn that fast and blah, blah, blah. Well, who says? I can prove to you that that's not true. It's like Peter Drucker says, don't have disempowering beliefs. Don't make up beliefs. Of course you can learn in 6 days. Tony Robbins says, all change happens overnight. You know, my grandma, she was a smoker back in the 40s and 50s and when it was cool to smoke. And then she said one day she woke up and she read that smoking was bad for you, and she quit overnight. Now, I'll prove to you how quick you can learn, and that you have learned in the past. For most of history, people thought the world was flat. 1400s, 1500s. Smart people, Socrates, Plato, great people, they thought the world was flat. They went their whole 70 years not able to figure that out. But you and I sat in a little classroom when we were in 3rd grade and read one book, and in 30 seconds we learned the world was round. That's how easy it is. Remember the Dutch saying, we are too soon old and too late smart. You don't want to be 80 years old and smart about money, or 80 years old and finally figure out how to control your diet, or 80 years old and be happy. You want to be happy young. Because remember, in the world we live in, opportunities come quickly, and then they leave, and you never get them again. If you're a fast learner, you can take advantage of them. One of my favorite quotes, Charlie Munger, the billionaire, his grandfather sat him down, and he said, Charlie, real opportunities that come to you are few. It's a very fortunate life that is just bathed in opportunity all the way. Most people just get a few times where they can make a huge difference by starting a huge activity. And he said, when you find one of those, my dear grandson, and you clearly recognize it, seize it boldly and don't do it small. Your life and your success is on a timer. Even business operates this way. My friend made a couple $100 million before he was 30 years old. Owns one of the biggest video game networks. He said anything he does, he only really makes money for 5 or 6 years. Seth Godin, I was reading The Purple Cow. He says, in the competitive world, things only last a couple years. The person who's able to learn quickly is ahead. Now, you know, I was down at San Diego State. I was down there speaking last week at the Entrepreneur Society. And I was actually practicing. I'm doing a TED Talk. And I wanted to practice my TED speech, so I told them a story, a true story, kind of a crazy story. A guy named Daniel Lewin. You and I, most people have never heard of him, but he's one of these billionaires that no one knows about. By the time he was 29, he was worth $1 billion. What did he do? Well, he was good with computers, and he figured out a way. He started this company, Akamai, and he figured out how to run behind the scenes of the internet a way to deliver pictures and videos very fast. Pictures and videos used to be slow. I know sometimes now they seem slow, but they used to be way slower before this kid figured it out. And it's kind of a cool, on a side note, story. Daniel had this idea and for Akamai, and he went to Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, and they turned him down, and he kept going back and saying, help me, help me, help me. He went so many times they actually had him arrested. I can't remember if it was Steve Jobs or Bill Gates. But in the end, someone listened to him. He started this company. He made $1 billion. Here's where the story takes a twist, though. He's 29 years old. He's got a wife. He's got a daughter. He gets on an airline, September 11th, 2001. He was a big guy, an ex-military guy. The terrorists sat behind him, took box cutters, cut his throat, killed him. He's the first guy to die. This kid would have been the next Bill Gates and Steve Jobs combined. He was brilliant. But you know, he only got 29 years. I don't know if you're going to live long or short. It's not totally important how long you live, right? That guy did in 20 years, 29 years, more than I've done and probably will do in my whole life. But the point is, it's like that chess timer. You're playing chess. So you have to have the right philosophy. And here's the right philosophy. There's an old spiritual saying. I'm not really religious, but I love this saying. It says, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of heaven. What does that mean? Simple. It means that if you are not humble, if you are rich and proud, it's basically impossible for you to get to the truth. So it all starts with humility. The meek will inherit the earth. So I can tell you right now, a simple way you can measure your level of humility. Because humility is not an emotion, it's a way of life. So, today, how humble were you in listening to people who were 10, 20, 30 years ahead of you? Did you read a book by an expert? Did you listen to an audio? Did you go out and seek out a mentor 20 years ahead of you? I was reading Mahatma Gandhi. I was thinking, man, this guy's 100 years ahead of me. He wrote this in 1905. You don't want to be like someone trying to learn right now if the world is flat or round. Just take it that experts have figured it out. I think it was Isaac Newton who said, it's not that I'm great, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. You want to stand on the shoulders of giants so that you can reach further than ever has been reached before. So make sure you have a habit every day. While you eat breakfast, read. And read from the best. And then when you're answering your emails, have your YouTube going. Listen to the smartest people in the world. Make sure you listen to the best. And when you are at work, or if you're becoming an entrepreneur, find somebody who's 10 or 20 years ahead of you. And be humble and say, will you show me what you learned? Like Warren Buffett says, we all learn from mistakes, but it's a lot easier to learn from other people's mistakes. Don't learn from your own mistakes. Life is too short. Cut your learning curve from 6 months to 6 days. You can do it. You can't become a concert piano player in 6 days. You can't become one in 6 months either. But I could tell you this. The average person just plays around on the piano, doesn't know what they're doing. Takes them 6 months. You can learn all that in 6 days. You can at least get the start going. Of course, it's going to take practice over time. But I'm talking about the things that you can change. The direction of your life, you can change overnight. You can get rid of a bad friend overnight. You can get out of a bad relationship overnight. You can stop eating junky food overnight. You can start working out overnight. Remember, your life is just the cumulative effect of little decisions, wagers that you make. Learn to make good ones. And to make good ones, I found another interesting thing that Steve Jobs said. To make good ones, you need a lot of information. He said, interesting people that make good decisions read a lot. Read from different sources. He talks about he took a class in calligraphy. And he thought, why am I taking this class in calligraphy? This is before he started Apple. But he was downloading the smartest professors' thoughts on how to write well. And guess what? Years later, when he was making the Apple computer beautiful, he drew on that experience. So you must go out. There's 125 million books. Find the top 100 that you think are from the greatest people that are relevant to your life, biographies, audios, download them into your brain, and you will begin to go from learning in 6 months to 6 days. Now, some people go, Ty, I can't read that fast. Well, follow the same principle. How can you learn to read faster? I can tell you this. I showed my last friend, not my last friend, he's still my friend. I showed my friend, who's not even from America, he's from Argentina. In 1 week, he doubled his speed reading, the words per minute that he read, just by a few simple principles. Go faster. Life is short. Remember what Tecumseh, the great Indian chief, said. He said, prepare for the day that you go across the great divide. But he said, so live your life that the fear of death never enters into your heart. Love your life, perfect your life, beautify all things in your life. And the way you'll do that is by getting rid of the mentality of going so slow. Just take it from me. I wish somebody had taken me by the shoulders and shaken me and said, Ty, what's going to take you 10 years to learn, I'm going to show you how to learn it in 1 year. Follow my path. It takes humility, though, and most of us have too much pride. We want to take the bow and arrow and shoot at the target, and we don't realize only one way hits the target. Millions of ways miss it. Hit that one way. Have somebody stand behind you. Show you how to hold the arrow, the bow, so that when you let loose, it's got a good chance of hitting. If you do that enough, over and over in every area of your life, in your physical health, how you work out, how you eat, how you sleep, the water you drink, the foods and beverages you let into your mouth, the way that you stretch, the way you do cardio. If you listen to the greatest people, you'll cut your learning curve from 6 months to 6 weeks. To 6 days. If you don't know how to make money and don't have any money in your bank account, go find the top 50 people that know how to make money. Ask them in person or read their books or listen to their YouTubes. That's a way you can cut the learning curve. What took them 6 months of trial and error and losing money, you can learn in 6 days. I love when Charlie Munger says, I made a lot of mistakes, just less than most people. And that's why he became a billionaire. Make less mistakes than most people. When it comes to love life, you don't like your love life, find somebody who's 10 or 20 years ahead of where you want to be, who's living the life you want to live. Ask them. Read about them. Maybe they're dead. Read about them. Go to a lecture at a college. I go to college classes for free. I just walk in and ask the professor if I can sit in. They don't even care. I take classes at USC, UCLA, richest, most expensive school almost in California for free. Everybody's complaining. I'm like, just go ask them. I don't need the college degree, so I can sit in and they don't even charge me. Take that attitude. Be humble, and the learning curve will be reduced. If you're not happy, if you're depressed a lot, that's probably your body telling you that something's wrong. Go out and find somebody happy and ask them their secret. Read the happiness hypothesis. Read Instant Happy. There's so many books on the happiness experiment. Go live with the Amish for a week. They're happy. Go to Scandinavia. They're happier than people here in America. Be humble, and the learning curve will shorten. And the reward for it is you will not be too late smart. You'll be smart in time. Smart in time to take advantage of all the cool opportunities that the world has. The world has it's never been a time that you want to be alive than right now. This is the best time ever. Billionaires are made. The Sumley kid's 15 years old, makes $30 million before he's 17. I mean, what a world. People are solving the world's problems. People are living longer. It all comes from knowledge. Make sure you get that knowledge downloaded into your brain, not in 6 months, not in 3 months. Begin and make a 1 week plan, 6 days. Take 1 day off. That's why I say 6 days. All right, leave me a comment. Tell me the one area, that you should immediately cut the learning curve, that you've been trying over and over, always a New Year's resolution, and never actually done it. What is that one area that you haven't been doing it, that you can commit, and in 6 days, you're going to change? You won't be perfect in 6 days, but the direction will change within 6 days. Leave me a comment below. Talk to you soon. Stay strong.